attending a bite session. Dan White is presenting. I'm stoked to see some new faces. Please come back anytime and have candy and enjoy the space and all the knowledge.
Yes.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan White. You're going to be talking about, what are you talking about?
Web scraping.
Excellent.
Yes. We good? Okay. Good to see everyone here. Yeah, let's talk about web scraping. So, what is web scraping? It's pretty simple. It's just collecting data from websites. It's kind of small, but yeah, collecting data from websites. It's usually automated, but it doesn't have to be. You can manually web scrape. You can go in and just click links and then download whatever you need. That's also web scraping. However, we're going to talk about automated web scraping today. Is web scraping legal? Oh, that's a big question. Generally it is, as long as you're just accessing the information that's publicly available. So one of the things about when you see a website in a browser, it's all the images that are there have already been put on your computer, right? They're somewhere on your computer in order to be there. So sending a request, whether it's through a browser or through an automated script, is kind of the same thing in that sense. However, how you use the data afterward could be illegal, could violate copyright depending on how you use it. But as far as just the scraping itself, as long as you're just using stuff that's available on the front end, you're generally not doing anything wrong. However, the bigger question is it ethical? It kind of depends on how you do it. There's some rules that I have personally for ethical web scraping that I like to follow. First one is use APIs whenever possible. So a lot of websites, you don't even realize they'll have an API built in, which is designed for accessing the data in a nice format, usually JSON format that you can handle easier. So it's easier than web scraping, and it's also already there and available for you. Respect the terms of use of the website or the terms of service, whatever they have, and also the robots.txt. I'll show you what that is in a bit. Use a delay. Use some kind of delay when you're scraping. Don't just pummel their servers with requests over and over again. Make sure you're using some kind of delay as you're doing it. Don't mask your identity. Try not to hide who you are. If you're hiding who you are, you're doing it for some kind of reason, right? You're trying to circumvent something. It means they don't want you to use a bot on their website, so you probably shouldn't. If you find any vulnerabilities, report those. It's important to let them know that they have some vulnerability on their website that you found while you were scraping. And one of the other rules I try to follow is avoid re-downloading the same data. So if you're working on a scraper and you do an initial request and you're trying to figure out how to parse the HTML, you don't need to do that request over and over again. Save the data so that you can work on your scraper locally, and then you can go back to requesting later. Let's go through each of these, just kind of explain what's going on here. So before you start scraping, make sure the information you need is not already available in API format. They're built to handle those automated requests. APIs generally present data in a format that's easier to process than HTML, so usually JSON format. For example, a while ago I was working on a chatbot that could pull data for specific users from a chess database. So, for example, if I wanted to access Magnus Carlsen's profile, here's his profile, I could scrape all the data I need from here through HTML. However, another way I could scrape it is through the API. So if I click on, like, stats is really good. If I click on the API, I get the same. Oh, that's not. It didn't show anything there, did it? Hold on, I got to get out of this. There we go. Sorry about that. So here's Magnus Carlsen's profile, and here's all of his stats and everything. And here it is in the API, the same exact information. We can even get more detailed information in there in API format. So it's better to use the API whenever it's available. I prefer it, but a lot of websites don't have APIs, so that's where web scraping comes in. I'm just going to do it like this instead so I can go back and forth. Respect the terms of use. Let's say you had in your mind that you wanted to build a robot that would automatically buy shoes whenever they drop from Nike.com. Well, let's see if they're okay with that. First thing I'll do is I'll check. A lot of websites have something called robots.txt, so you just type the URL in and then type /robots.txt. Most websites will have that. These are kind of instructions for what they want you to do with bots. This is not like a legally binding thing, but it's something you should try to respect. So in this case, it's pretty small. I have user agent, which means any kind of bot that you're using, they don't want you to do they're disallowing access to these things. They don't want you to go to the member inbox, they don't want you to go to the settings. Big thing, they don't want you to check out, which means they don't want you buying stuff automatically on their website. So a lot of other things that they don't want you to do. So always check the information here. Sometimes it'll also tell you how much of a delay they want you to use, things like that. So there's a lot of good information here. They have specific bots that they allow to do specific things as well, which is kind of interesting. I don't know a lot about these specific bot programs, but I guess they got different permissions. They might have a sitemap, and then I don't know why. I don't know what that's for. Does anyone know that? That's pretty. I don't know what the actual characters are for, but there's like some secret code down here or something. So there's some kind of cool secret stuff in the robots.txt sometimes as well, some Easter eggs. Also, if we go to their actual terms of use, and we just search for the word robots. Oh, okay. Do not use any data mining, robot scraping, or similar data gathering methods. I guess they don't want me doing that, so I probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, I consider it unethical to try to bypass those kind of things and do things that they don't want you to. Legally, I don't think any of this is illegal to use a robot just because they ask you not to, but it's not ethical to do, so please don't do that. Use a delay. So I try to use like a human-like delay. If I can't like physically click and see stuff that fast, then I don't want to go much faster than that as a robot. It eases the pressure on the servers. It's good for you because it can prevent you from being detected as a suspected DDoS attack. So they might think you're trying to just pummel their servers to shut it down. So they have a lot of services in place that will auto-block your IP because of that. So that's another good reason to use a delay when you're scraping. Yeah, don't try to mask your identity or bypass CAPTCHA services. Be transparent with who you are. If a website doesn't want you scraping and it's clear they don't want you scraping it, just don't scrape it. That's my rule. And if you find vulnerabilities while scraping data, report it to the host. My friend found, there was a website that sold computer cases, and he found a vulnerability where you could go into the HTML and edit the price within the HTML tag. And then when you added that to your cart, when you went to your cart, it would still be set at that price. So I was like, he could buy like a $100 case for $1. I'm sure they would catch it at some point. I don't think it would get to him, but he reported that, and hopefully they took care of that because that's a pretty big deal. If you notice a vulnerability like that while you're scraping or doing any kind of inspection of code. Avoid re-downloading the same data. So often when you're building a scraper, you'll work iteratively. So you'll be trying to figure out, okay, I need to get in this table. Okay, so how do I find the table? Test to make sure I get in the table. Now I need the rows from the table. So how do I do that? And you're just running it over and over again. You don't need to do that. You get it one time, you download it, and then you work off of it locally. Does that make sense? Why would you need to keep running the request over and over again? There are some limitations to web scraping. A lot of websites that are generated on the front end, like with JavaScript. So React, for example, if you try to scrape a React page, you'll get it before the JavaScript has actually generated the HTML data. So it won't have the HTML stuff there. It'll all be like coded in JavaScript, so it's very hard to scrape. There are alternatives to like using a normal request. You can use Selenium. Has anyone heard of Selenium before or used Selenium? Yeah. So Selenium is a browser emulator, so you can wait until it's all been processed and then scrape it. So there are ways to do it with browser emulators, but that can be a limitation. And yeah, with that out of the way, let's get to scraping. So my goal today, actually this is kind of small. Yeah. I want to do something kind of silly, so I thought maybe let's do something with Pokemon. So I want to create a database, a local database. I don't want to share it with people because I don't want to violate any copyright stuff. I'm just going to do stuff locally to scrape metadata and images from a resource. A resource I use a lot is Cerebi.net. It's one of the more popular ones for metadata on Pokemon. I did my due diligence. I checked the API. It doesn't have an API. I checked the terms of use. They don't have anything against it. And their robots.txt is actually kind of interesting. I'll just show you what that looks like real quick. Hopefully they haven't updated in the last 12 hours. Otherwise we're in trouble here. Yeah, pretty easy. So they just don't want you accessing something called Hidden Ranch. I don't know what that is, but it's not even available. And they don't want you accessing this crossword, which I believe doesn't have anything new in it. Oh, sorry, hold on. There we go. Oh, yeah. Since April 2020, they created some crossword puzzles, and they don't want you scraping those. So, other than that, we're good to go. I feel like we've done everything we need to do. We are ready to start scraping. So the libraries I use for scraping, again, tiny. I probably will change the view. Oh no, you already did. Okay, good. The libraries I will use for scraping are requests to actually handle the requests. There's a lot of different libraries for that, but the one I like in Python is just called Python requests. BS4, also known as BeautifulSoup. It's a library for parsing HTML data. Time, it's a built-in library. It allows you to set delays, so we can delay our requests as needed. And then typing, oh, I forgot to finish that. So we can prove that Python can have typing. Okay, because a lot of people complain about Python not having, not being a strongly typed language. We're going to strongly type today and make it look good. So let's get started. Let's hop into Visual Studio. Let me try to file. Scraper.py. One of the mistakes I make a lot when I'm setting up a new thing where I'm trying to test out a library is I might make a file called request.py to test out the request library, but since it's named the same as the library, it will cause a lot of issues. So make sure the name of your file isn't matching anything like that. Is that big enough to see? Can I make this a little bit bigger? I don't like working too big. Okay. Hopefully that'll work. Probably don't need to use that for now. Okay, whenever I start a new Python file, I always do if name equals main, then we'll run main. I like to just have everything in functions for the most part. We'll do this and just make sure we're set up there correctly. Cool. All right, we got hello. We did something. That's good. Next, what I want to do is set up the requests. Let's look at the website that I'm actually scraping before we get too far into this. This is the National Pokédex. It has every single Pokemon in the entire game. They're over 1,000 now, so they had to add extra 0. Did you guys know they're over 1,000? Pretty impressive, yeah. Yeah. So as data on every Pokemon in the game, the information we have is we have a number, we have a picture, we have a name, we have the typing, grass poison, we have abilities, and we have the base stats available here. So we're going to try to get as much information as possible, and that's our goal for scraping. So let's copy this URL here, and then let's make a global variable here for my. For URLs, I usually just have a global, so I'll just make this home. This is going to be tough with the text size. Okay, so I have my home variable here. Let's import requests so we can make a request to it. R equals requests.get home. And then let's see what we get here. I'm just going to return nothing, or sometimes that doesn't work. Let's just print R. But I'm going to debug this so I can look at what we get back from the request. So what it's going to do is it's going to send a request, a GET request to this home URL, and then we're going to get the response from that. Let's look at what we got. Let's look at what we got. We got a response. So if we look through the object here, we got a status code, which is very important. Status code 200 means everything was good. We have some text. We have content. Does anyone know what that B in front of the content means there? Bytes, yeah. So it's bytes. So if we're writing it, we need to make sure we write the bytes. Now, instead of running this request over and over again, I probably just want to save this HTML file locally, and then I can start working on it. So to save this, what I can do is with open Pokédex.html, And then we do WB because it's a byte string. And then we'll just as F. And then we'll f.write our r dot content, because content is the part of it that we need. Let's run it again. So I'm running it twice. That's not too bad for demonstration. And let's see if we got it. Okay, we got it here. Let's check it out. Let's see what we got when we open this. Oh, that's not good. It doesn't have anything. Does it actually have the data in there? So when I saw this, I was kind of concerned, and for some reason it's constantly loading. So it's trying to do something that it's not able to do. Let's actually look at the raw HTML though and see if we have the information we need. Okay, this is so big. Here we go. Yep, we do. Let's go to the first one. What's the first one in the Dex? Bulbasaur. Yeah, okay. So we do have our table. We do have all the information in here. For some reason, it didn't display in the HTML, but it is in the code, so we should be able to scrape it. Let's go to the top, and what we're looking for when we're scraping is some kind of identifier. That's a pretty good identifier. Div ID content. Is there something else? Let's actually word wrap this. Okay. Oops. I guess content's not the best one. Back over this way, please. Nope, that's it. Okay. Oh, there's something. So this is the table that contains everything. It's called Dex table. So that might be a good thing to start off with, is trying to grab the Dex table. Another thing I'm looking for is issues I might have when I'm scraping. Yeah. So what are rows in HTML? Which tag is that? TR. So TRs are rows, TDs are the actual cells. So we have rows, we have cells. One thing I look for is there another like table nested within this table? Because that can cause issues when I'm trying to get the rows out. Look at that, we do. For some reason, the icon image has a nested table in here, so we have to think about that when we're scraping, make sure that we're not. Another thing you'll notice when you're doing a lot of scraping is a lot of poor web design practices, things like that. You'll see a lot of lazy web developers. Yeah, so for some reason we have tables nested in there, which means if I try to get all of the rows, I'm also going to end up grabbing these internal rows here, which I don't actually want. But there's a way to work around that. So let's, now that we have the content, I don't need this anymore. And I don't need to make the request anymore. What I need to do is open, so kind of the same thing. We're going to open the same file. This is what I don't like about zooming in here. It like overlaps everything. Oh my gosh. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit. Hopefully it's still visible. Okay, that's a little better. Is that still kind of visible to you guys? Okay, all right, good. And then we're going to read it to we're going to read our file. Content equals, I need to do as f again. F.read, and we'll read, F.read I think is it. All right, so let's see what our content looks like now. I think I did that right. Let me double check my notes here. Yep, okay. It doesn't need any parameters or anything. Let's see what we get when we rerun this now. Make sure our content looks good. That looks like HTML to me. Okay, good. So we got our HTML from there. Now we need to parse our HTML, and we're going to use BeautifulSoup for that. The way you usually import BeautifulSoup is you'll, from BS4, which is the actual name of the library, import BeautifulSoup, which is what we need. However, that's long to type, so usually you do it as BS. So you're importing the BeautifulSoup package from the BS4 library as the alias BS, so you don't have to type out BeautifulSoup every time. And now we're going to read the content that we got. So we will, instead of printing it, we will read it. I'll leave that there. So the way we read it, or the way we analyze it, we need to merge it into a soup object, which is usually called soup. And then we'll do this with our content, and we will need something called html.parser, which is specific to parsing HTML. And now we should have the soup. See what some stuff we can do with this soup if I run this now. Okay. Actually gonna go to my debug console here. Soup. Hey, we got our soup. It's all of the HTML. Some cool stuff we can do with this is we can find things. Let's do soup.findAll tables. Oh, sorry, tables equals soup.findAll. Then I believe I have to do it like this, table. So this will find every single table on our page. And we end up with a lot of tables, probably, more than we want. Yeah, we have over 1,000 tables because we had each of those nested little tables within the big table. So we probably don't want all the tables. Which table did we want? Do you guys remember? Pokédex. I think it was called. No, it's called Dex table. Yeah, Dex table. And we need it. So we need to get it by the class Dex table. So how we do that? We can go table equals soup.find table, and then we would do. We can do pass a dictionary through here. So we'll pass class as the key and Dex table as the value. Oop. Wait, what did I do wrong there? Oh, I put this in front here for some reason. Yeah, I don't know how that got wrapped there. Let's try that. Okay. And now we just have our Dex table. Perfect. Nice. So we can get our Dex table that way. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll say Dex.
Library is good. Totally.
Yeah, BeautifulSoup is awesome. Yeah. Dex table equals soup.find table, and we'll do class Dex table. There's a lot of cool stuff we can do with it. This will just be scratching the surface. So now we have our table, and if we look at our table, what do we want to get out of the table to get like all the information from each Pokemon? What do we want to grab from from the tables? Like how is it organized? Is it organized by columns? Is it organized? What is a? I guess I'm not saying this very well. Okay, it's a row. So we're looking for these rows so that we get all the information we need from each of these. So we're gonna grab all of the rows from here. The problem that we saw was inside of this, there's another table that has its own rows. So there's two ways you can do a find all in BeautifulSoup. You can either find everything, which is the default behavior, or you can turn off the recursiveness, which means it only searches at the first level of anything. So if we don't do a recursive search of the rows, we'll only get the first level of the rows, and we don't have to worry about those nested rows in there. And the way we do that is rows equals dex table dot find all, and we'll find all the tr elements because that's how we find rows, and then we will do recursive equals false, and that should give us just the rows that we need. Let's check out the rows. Stop this and rerun it. Is it going to stop on return? Okay, good. All right, debug console. Let's see how our rows look. Nice. What is row 0? Is that legible? So what's in the first row? You guys see that? Is that too small? What do you guys get from the first row there?
It just looks like the tags or the row names.
It's just this guy right here. It's the stuff at the very top. It doesn't even include this down here. Let's see where that is. How about rows 1? Oh, what's in rows 1? HP attack, defense, special attack, special defense, speed. So that's this one. So the second row is actually here. It's actually pushed over here. So we have row 0 here, and then we have row 1 here. And then let's see what row 2 looks like. Oh, rows 2. And that's when we start getting the information about Bulbasaur, our first one. So We can get the information about Bulbasaur from the first, the row 2 is where we're going to start actually scraping the data. So let's create a for loop to iterate through these. I haven't been using typing. I said I was going to use typing and I haven't. For BeautifulSoup, maybe it's kind of hard for that. Okay. For row in rows, but I want to start, which row did I want to start on? 2. So from here to here, let's see what we can get. Based on what we've done so far, how might we get the cells from the rows? What if I wanted to get the cells? Anyone want to fathom a guess? So I have each row, and then I want to get the cells for that row.
Either by index or by key, whether it's list or dictionary.
Have it?
If I understand correctly, so like you have a row
Mhm.
of like a bunch of items in it, you could just index into it. Or
Yeah.
it might be by key.
We could do it the same way as we do this guy right here, but with cells instead of rows, right? So we could do cells equals row dot find all td. Again, I have to do recursive equals false, right? So this is getting all the individual cells from the row. Is that
Gotcha.
okay?
Makes more sense,
Yeah, maybe I didn't ask the question right, but yeah. So now we can get the cells, and let's see if we can start seeing what's in each cell. I'm just going to do print cell for cell in cells, print cell, and I'm actually going to stop around here and check it out. There we go. All right. So I'm going to run it once, go to the next one. Okay, first one, 00001. Okay, that's the number. So I'm actually going to note this down. This is a good thing to do as well. You note down, I'm going to take notes. So TD0 is the number. Okay, then next one. Okay, TD1 is the image. That's the icon image. Okay, next one. TD2, what's TD2? It's like the name. All right, next one. TD3, what does that look like? I think that's the typing. So the thing about the typing is it looks like they're actual images rather than just stating the type. So we'll have to actually get the type from it. Yeah, which is going to be fun. So TD3, type. Let's go again. TD4, what are those? Those are the abilities. Go for grow and stuff. TD4, abilities. TD5. Okay, this is where we get to the actual stats. So TD5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Is that right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So those are all the stats. 5 to 10, I think that's right, are the stats. Okay. So now we know we have all the information, which cell it's going to be in. We need to start collecting and parsing all of this stuff. So I can get rid of this now. Let's get the number. How do you think we should store the number? Should we store it as an integer, string? What should we do? String? We could do it either way. Let's do it as an integer just to make it a little bit harder. So how do we get it? Everything you pull from here is a string. So what if I want to convert this to an integer? It's got a pound sign ahead of it as well. Probably some different ways to do it, but let's say number. I'll use some typing here. Number of int equals, it's going to be TD0. The other thing is when we actually pull the TD0, you can see we have all the HTML around here as well. So we want to just get the text. And there's a way to do that with BeautifulSoup as well. We can do get text, And then we can also do strip equals true, and what that'll do is strip off any, sorry, it's not TD0, it's cell 0. I was saying TD0 that whole time, sorry, I hope that wasn't confusing. Cell 0, and we're stripping everything out except for the text. So that's going to give us the string, okay? Now what if we want to convert that to an integer? Well, the problem is it's got that pound sign in front of it. So how do we get rid of a pound sign in Python? There's a few ways to do it. I'm just going to do dot replace, which I think is the pretty normal way. Replace all the pound signs you encounter with nothing. That should get rid of the pound sign in front of it. And now we should be able to just cast the whole thing as an integer. Sorry, that's hard to see. And see if that works. I don't have anything on it here, but let's just put it here. See if we get the number. Okay, step up. Oh, yeah, number 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Okay, cool. We got the number. We got it as an integer. Icon image I'm going to come back to. Let's do name next. Name is just a string. So we'll say name equals, and all we have to do is, anyone want to fathom a guess on how we might just grab the name here using our beautiful soup stuff?
Dot get text.
Yep. Cells 2 dot get text. Strip. We'll strip it as well, just in case there's weird white space around it. Strip equals true. Okay, so we get the name. Oh, now it gets tricky. The type. The type was a little bit tricky. So let's start with, oh, why did it turn green there? It's a keyword, it's built in. So my lazy way of getting around that is I just put an underscore at the end so I can use it like that. Type, I'm just gonna do this for now. I want to see what the cell looks like. Type. Because we need to figure out how to get, there's two types actually, potentially two types. Let's look at the board again. So some of these have dual typing and some of them have single typing, if you know about this. So we have monotype and we have dual type Pokemon. So what we need to do is figure out how to handle either of those things. We also don't want the image, we want the name. We want grass instead of grass and poison instead of poison. Okay. Let's see what it looks like here. Okay. All right, so this is what our type looks like. It looks like there's two images, and we have grass, and we have poison. So the file name tells us which typing it is, right? Grass or poison, we can get the typing here. Wow, so this is gonna be a little bit tricky. Let's do some crazy list comprehension just for fun here. So we have this, which is going to give us the entire component here. What do we need to grab from here in order to get the types? Which tags do we need to look at here? We need to get the image tags, and we need to get the actual source text from the image tags, right? So how might I get all of the images that are within this cell? Find all. Okay, so this is all of the images that are in the cell. We don't need to worry about recursive because I don't think there's going to be any kind of other nested stuff to be concerned about. So this will find the image tags, the IMG tags. And this will become a list of all of the image tags. And then what I need to do is get the source from here. Now, another cool thing that we can do with BeautifulSoup is anything that's internal within the tag, we can grab, I believe, as if it were a dictionary, so we can put it in as a key. So source, s.src. And this will just, this won't work. This won't work because this is a list. So this is where the list comprehension comes in. So sorry, I'm going to confuse people with list comprehension. But list comprehension essentially is X for X in list. This basically means do this for every instance of this within our list. So in this case, x for x in this list. And what I need to do is get the source tags. Oh my god, this is going to be the craziest one-liner, sorry. And this is just grabbing the sources. I'm going to run this again just to make sure we're doing this correctly. But this is just going to grab the source information for each image tag. I should probably actually, instead of call this type, because it's going to be a list, we'll call it types. Okay. All right, let's see what we get now when we print this. Okay, whoops. So you see what it printed out here? It just printed literally just the source tags. Nice. Now, if we do a little messing with string stuff, we could use regex or something. Let's do it in a sloppier way. Anyone want to fathom a way of just grabbing literally this section out of the source here?
Split by slash type slash.
Yeah, so if we split by the, we could split by type slash. We could actually just split by slash or whatever we want, and then just grab the last element of that split, which will be this section. Then we can do the same thing, but we can split it by the dot, or we can replace .gif. Either way is fine, but we could split it by the dot and then grab the first element of that. I'm doing it all in one line. Buckle up. Let's see how it goes. I love one-liners in Python. They're very fun. Okay, so let's go to our types. So first thing we need to do is .split by the slash. Then we need to grab the last element of that, which is -1. Then we need to do .split by dot, and then grab the first element of that. Does that look right?
It's a beast.
It's a beast. Let's see if it works. Hopefully. Let's see if we get an error here. Let's go! Grass poison. All right. Nice. Okay, cool. So there's our crazy, unwieldy one-liner there for that, which is always fun. Okay, let's keep going and go to abilities, which should be easier. We can still use list comprehension for it, but it's text-based. They're also links instead. They're hyperlinks. What tag do we use in HTML for hyperlinks?
Anchor tag.
Anchor tag. So we can probably grab it by the anchor tag, but let's double check here. Same way as before. We'll do abilities equals cells 4, and I just want to see what this looks like here. And you can see why I'm not re-grabbing that HTML every single time, right? I'm not sending that request over and over again because I don't need to. I can just do it locally. And when you're doing this, it's a very iterative thing. You're just working through trying to get it done. Okay. Oops. Yeah. So let's see abilities. TDI center. Did I miss something here? Hold on. Sorry. I need to go back to the debug console here instead. Abilities. Oops. Why did that not work? Let's do it again.
I think there's a spelling in there.
Oh, abilities. Okay, thank you. That would help if I spelled it correctly. All right. Habilites. That's Spanish. All right, there we go. Yeah, it looks like that's correct. So we have the A tag inside here. We have 2 A tags. So I can grab the A tag here. Let's see if we can get this figured out. How do I find all of the anchor tags in there? Dot find all. And we're grabbing all the A's. And we don't actually, the difference between this and the other one is that instead of it being, we could grab it from here, like inside the anchor tag, inside the hyperlink reference, the same way we did up here, but we don't need to because we have the text over here, and the text is probably nicer anyway. So all I need to do is grab this text here. Do we remember how to get the text from it? Well, we did find all, but we need to get the text from those anchor tags. Get text? Wow, it's so intuitive, right? Can I put just get text here? Will that work?
It's returning a list from
It's returning a list. So what do we need to do? List comprehension. Yes. Make another crazy one-liner. Let's go. Okay. So we do x for x in our list, and then we do dot get text, and we'll get the text of we want strip equals true. That's what we need in there. That's it. And hopefully that'll give us our abilities. Let me just print abilities like I did with types. I think that was easier to read. Spell correctly this time. There we go. Look at that. We got overgrowing chlorophyll. Nice. All right. What's left? We have stats. Oh my goodness. So for the stats, how would you guys store these stats? Would you just store this in a list? How would you store all of the stats? What data type do you think would probably be best to use for this?
Dictionary, personally, or class.
Yeah, I would do a class, but a dictionary, I think a dictionary would work. What would be our keys and what would be our values for the dictionary? Key would be like HP, value would be 45, key would be attack, value would be 49. So let's do that. Do I need to manually type these guys out? I'm feeling real lazy. I could type all these out, but what else can I do? Let's scrape it. Do you remember which row this one was on? It was on row 1, yes, because row 0 is the top row, row 1 is this row. So let's just scrape those guys. Okay. Stat headers equals, and then rows 1, and then what do I need to find from that? Find all, what do I need to find to get that information? Spaces. I don't think it's spaces that separates these. These are different cells, so I need to separate them. I need to get the cells here. I could actually find text and then split it by the space that's created in the middle, but instead let's do it. Let's do it with cells. So what's our tag for cells again? TD. I think that'll work. Find all TD. Can we do get text again? To get the text in the middle? No, we can't because it's a list. So we need to do it recursively. Sorry, not recursively. List comprehension. Get text. Strip equals true. And let's see if we can get the stat headers this way. I need to put a closing tag on this. Wait, what am I missing? Oh, 4x. Yeah, 4x. Sorry. That's why I usually write out x for x first, because I forget it later and then don't do it. So let's try that. I think we're going to succeed on this one. I feel good about this one. Let's see. Stat headers. Ooh, look at that. So we got all of our stat headers here. Cool. Now I want to map these numbers to these stat headers. Okay. I'm going to go really crazy here, and we're going to do something called dictionary comprehension, which I think maybe has not. Who's seen dictionary comprehension before? Beach has. Okay, good. Okay. Beach, you remember from memory? You want to help me out?
That's me.
Same, right? It's just, oh no, wait, how does it go? I think we can just do curly brace. You do curly brace.
Curly brace.
Colon value for whatever.
Key colon value for KV in a dictionary, yeah.
Dictionary items.
Like dictionary dot, oh no, sorry, what we need to do is zip, actually zip the dictionary. Because what zip does is it takes each key value and puts them into their own individual, what am I trying to think of? It's not set, tuples, puts them in tuples of key value. Yeah, this will actually work, I believe. So for a dictionary, zip, oh no, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, you want to zip 2 lists. You're right. Yeah. Sorry, zipping 2 lists takes the items from each list and puts them together into. Okay, there we go. So, what are the lists that we need to zip? The first list is our stat headers, state headers, stat headers. What's the second list we need to zip? We need to actually get the stats. So let's do Pokemon stats equals, and then we'll do our normal thing here. We need. Is that my thing? Same battery. battery's getting low? No.
It's me
Okay.
protecting the string.
Okay, good. Okay. Last lesson, my battery died in the middle or at the end of it, so that wasn't very good. Okay. So we need our stats. We know it's in 5 to 10 here. It's not TD, it's cells, 5 to 10. And in this case, we also need to do list comprehension. So x dot get text strip equals true for x in cells 5 to 10. Okay, I'm hoping. And so now we can do this with the Pokemon stats, and then I'm just going to make it full of stats. Now, if I were really cool, I'd actually copy this whole entire thing and then put it here and make a really crazy one-liner, but we don't need to get too crazy with it. Okay. I should be doing typing on this stuff as well, but I've been lazy about that. Okay, let's see. See if we get our stats in a very neatly formed dictionary here. How confident are we feeling about this one? I feel a little bit less confident about this one. It scares me a little bit. Let's see.
Right, stat headers and like just a list of the strings you need. Or...
I need to actually type what's in here. I need a key value. No, KV should be fine for this. What did I do wrong here?
I think you might need to remove the square brackets in the zip. It's treating it as a list.
Yep.
of 2 lists.
It's treating it as a single list. Yep, you're right. It should be, when you're zipping, you should be zipping it like this instead. That's correct. That was a test. You passed. See, that's why I wasn't confident about that one. Okay, let's see what we get. Oh, let's go. Look at that. We mapped every single stat to numbers. Beautifully done. Numbers, I probably want to store these as an integer instead of as a string though, so we need to cast it as an integer. Where would we do that? Oh, this is a big test. Where would we actually cast it as an integer?
Around B, K colon B.
You could do it in here. We could also do it up here though, right? We could do it right here as well. Let's do it here. That makes the most sense to me. And we'll triple check and make sure that's correct. All right, now we got them as integers because we might want to like sort by their stats and stuff like that in our database. So I think that makes sense to store as integers. All right, now the tricky one. Let's see if we can get these images. Oh man. Let's see, how will we get these images? Okay. So, any guesses based on what we've done so far? Which tag do we probably want to look for in that cell?
IMG.
The image tag, the IMG, yes. So TD, let's say image equals TD1, and we want the dot find IMG. It should be a single image for these, not TD1, cells 1. I really confused myself by writing that wrong. Okay, so this will give us the image tag. I want to see what that looks like right now before we move on. And we can start to figure out how we're actually going to save that image. Because we're going to have to send new requests for those images. Because those images didn't come with the initial request. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's go to debug, IMG. Okay, we got a source. How do we get an internal thing from a tag? How is that treated? It's like a dictionary. So we do IMG src in a set of brackets there. That just gives us the source. What do we call this kind of link that doesn't have the entire thing?
URI.
Man, now I'm spacing on it. It's a
Relative.
relative link. Relative URL. There we go. Bailed me out. Okay. So what I need to do is take this. If I just send a request to this relative URL, is it going to give me anything back? Probably not. It's going to look on my computer for it or something. So it's not going to work. So what I'll do is I'll create a new one, image, source, and I'm going to create, I'm going to copy everything up to here, which is, whoops, copy, and Let's do some string formatting here. I'm just going to put this little curly guy here so that I can put whatever I want at this point. This could be named something else. I don't put a slash here because there's a slash in front of this already, so I don't want a second slash, so I don't need that. So let's do image source. We got our image. Source, we just add this tag to it. But then I want to use the image source. I'm going to do image URL equals, and we'll do, what did I call this one up here? Image source. I don't know if I probably should do that. Let's get rid of this one so it's not confusing. Image source dot, how do I insert something into those curly brackets in Python? Format. Yeah, okay, we got some Python. Format, and then I'll put my image in there, the source of the image in there. And that should give us an entire URL. And I'll even test that in the browser just to make sure before I start sending requests to it. So image URL, let's check over here, copy value, and let's just go to our browser and paste it. If we're able to get it here, we should be able to get it from Python. Look at that, cool. So that'll load our image, and then we have to send requests. This is where we need our delay, so I'm gonna put in a time here. I'm actually gonna make a separate function for this, so this is already getting kind of crazy, so I'm gonna create a separate function for loading and saving the image. So let's say find request image, and then we need the image source. And probably the file name as well, because we want to, should we do it all together? No, let's do them separately. So we'll just use the image source, and then we'll return it. So I'm going to do my delay first. For that we need from time import sleep, and then we'll sleep. How long am I supposed to go for? Does it matter?
20 minutes over.
20 minutes over?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was 4 to 6 or something. No, it's 40 minutes? Okay. Sorry, well, we started a little bit late too. Okay, I apologize. I'm just going to do a quick request then for the image source, and then we'll call it good. Okay, I'm going to do it all together then. File name. Okay, R equals request.get, and we'll get our image source. That gives us the image source, and then the content is actually the image itself. So we are going to do, first we need to do our delay, like I said. Let's do a 1 second delay. Sleep for 1 second. Don't make the mistake I did and think that sleep is milliseconds and then type like 1,000 here and wonder why it's not going. It's actually seconds in Python for whatever reason. And with open file name, we need to write the bytes again as f.write r.content. Now let's quickly save our image. What was it called? Request image or something? Yeah. Request image. We have our image URL. And we have our file name. We can just call it the name of whichever one we want. I'd probably make an images folder, but I'm not going to do that now. So it's going to be name plus .png. I believe it's a PNG, yeah. Or no, it's GIF, right? It was a GIF. Is that right? Hopefully that works. I thought it was long. So let's see if this will run and start saving images here. Nope. Name is not associated with the value.
It's a .img file, isn't it?
That was done. Oh, because name is below here. That's probably why I haven't gotten the name yet. That would make sense. Isn't it .gif? It was .png, sorry. Which makes more sense since it has a transparent background. Let's try it again. Hey, we got Bulbasaur, we got Ivysaur, we got Venusaur. All right, good. It's doing it 1 second at a time. All right, let's wrap it up there. I hope that was fun. Sorry that went long. Thank you guys.
That was amazing. Are you kidding?
Any questions about any of this stuff? You guys gonna get to scraping soon? Okay.
I sure want to.
What would you do in your Pokemon banner?
Probably. There's a fun thing that I found called Pokedoku. Has anyone played that before? It's like a Sudoku for. Yeah, so you have to try to find the things that match the typing, you know. So like Gardevoir for this, obviously everyone knows Gardevoir is a very psychic type. Yeah. So maybe make something interesting, some puzzle game like this, or you know, do something with the stats for you know, trying to build a team building in the game or something like that. There's a lot of fun stuff you could do with all this information. So whatever you want. Yes.
I've got a quick question. So we used .find all and .find and .getText. Do you have any tips for like remembering when it's going to return a dictionary versus like a beautiful soup object? Because I think at one point like we accessed into it using a key, but
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So first of all, find all will always return a dictionary or always return a list of soup objects, regardless of if there's only one or more. If you use .find and there's more than one, it will only return the first one that it finds, and it will return it as a soup object, not a list. And then as far as the dictionary, accessing the dictionary like x.source, that's how you access those internal things in a tag within a Beautiful Soup object itself. So that's not actually a dictionary, that's a Beautiful Soup object, and we're just using it like a dictionary type thing for those things inside of the image tags. Were there any other ones that...
Oh,
That all makes
no,
sense.
I think that was it.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions about any of this? All right. Let's call it. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.